Thank you so much, President Zelensky. Henry Foy, Financial Times. I wanted to ask about gas transit. I know there are discussions going on between your team, the European Commission, and other countries. Will Ukraine agree to a new deal to allow gas to transit your country before the current deal with Gazprom expires? And whose gas will it be? Are you supportive of a potential Azeri-Russian swap deal whereby the gas is entering from Russia but technically is purchased from Azerbaijan? Thank you.
Our big advantage is that we are honest, open, and it goes without saying that we are very transparent in what we do. We would not prolong the transit of Russian gas. We will not give the possibility of additional billions to be earned on our blood, on the lives of our citizens. And any country of the world that could get something cheap from Russia will become 100% tomorrow, or maybe in a month or in a year time, they will become dependent on Russian Federation. That is their policy. That is why we are not gonna indulge in transiting Russian gas. We have talked, Slovakia, the Prime Minister mentioned this, and I explained to him very directly that if that is a gas not from Russia but other country, but we have to know that we will only transit gas if it's not coming from Russia. So it's the same. It's coming from Russia. It's originating from Russia, and they will continue to earn money in that war, and will continue to become richer. If Russian, and if the country is ready to guarantee to give us the gas, but not to pay the money back to Russia until the end of the war, then it's a possible potentiality. We can think about it, but we would not give any chance to have additional billions of Russian Federation that would be put into the war. And by the way, when Slovakia has raised this issue and they say that they can, of course, they will lose money, it will be expensive for them to stop the transit. Ukraine, of course, lose so much more than that. If, to be honest, during war, it's a bit shameful to talk about money because we are losing people. But if we want to be pragmatic, down to earth, we are losing much more in energy money throughout the whole life. So Russia has captured our nuclear power station. Now we have a big deficit of electricity, and there are many, many more questions like that. Telekanal Inter, Irina Ivanova. I'm talking about the protection of energy sector of Ukraine. This is one of the topics of today's meeting. Please tell us. So NATO knows that we need 19 air defense systems. So when can we expect these shipments of air defense? As to the 19 systems of air defense, we're talking here not the Patriot systems. We're discussing here, talking about actually that Russia is now targeting our nuclear generation. So more than 22 stations that actually involved in generation. We need 19 additional systems to protect the network. Otherwise, we will be without 4 or 5 gigawatt of electricity next winter. So Russia understands that. They target it, we protect it. So this is an urgent issue. And of course, there is some movement. There is confirmed the shipments of some of the systems. We will start receiving them from Canada, from Germany. So if we have these systems, yes, but they are not enough. So we need 19 at least. And we also need Patriots in order to protect our towns and cities. We are working on that issue. Rostislav, Demchuk, News Ukraine. Yesterday, you had a very long meeting in the headquarters of NATO with the General Secretary, Mark Rutte, with a whole number of leaders from European Union and the leadership of European Union. Well, talking about the reaction of these leaders and the results of your talks, everybody is saying that Ukraine should not be pushed towards the peace talks with Russia and to some steps which would not be thought over. Everything should happen in a wise way and thoughtfully. So have you reached consensus and the support of all the leaders of European Union? And of course, except Mr. Orban and Mr. Fico. Thank you. Well, thank you. First of all, I would like to tell you that the question, it's not about pushing us towards peace. So, of course, that we're not pushed towards a big pit where we might fall. So we want to stop Putin. We want to stop that war, and we would do our best in order to do that. It's very important that the voice of Europe is united voice, that those countries which you just mentioned in the end of your question, that these countries should distribute Russian narratives, but that the voice of Europe is united and unanimous, and they are united also with the United States of America. We are waiting for the inauguration of the new president, Donald Trump, and we would like to start having a serious plan of how to stop Putin. And really, I think that both Donald Trump and the whole European Union are able to do that. So yes, we have discussed that. We have discussed about air defense. I'm not going to repeat that. So we understand the schedule. We understand the amount of how much we need of these air defense systems. So yesterday we started our day in Brussels with a meeting of French Republic, Emmanuel Macron. Oh yes, we support his initiative, but we need to have all the details about this military contingency. We say that it could be part of the security guarantees. It goes without saying that NATO is the best security guarantee for Ukraine. And of course, until Ukraine is a member of NATO, this aspect could be considered as an alternative. But the most important is that it is not just an artificial issue blown up. We need to have mechanisms, concrete mechanisms. If we heard about contingency, how many details, what they will do if Russia is attacking, for example. Many questions are being raised. We're discussing them. It is important that these issues are being raised, that we are actually starting to raise and discuss these issues. Euronews.
You can see with whom we are talking. Today, the person sitting in Kremlin said that he was eager to suggest a technological duel. Yes, you can double-check that. Putin said today that we will strike, for example, Kiev, and we will strike using a Oreshnik missile. Let them defend their city with the air defense systems, and we will see. Wait and see. Do you believe that a reasonable person could say that? No, these are just not humans. You're
from Rudao Media Network. I am from Kurdistan, Mr. President. I would like to know, had the withdrawal of Russia from Syria impacted the war in Ukraine? What do you think?
Як вихід Росії із Сирії вплинув на війну в Україні?
So, how?
Translated something other thing. Can you just repeat for me? You spoke about the troops, Russian troops, who ran away from Syria.
Yes.
And what do you want to hear from me?
From Syria.
I'm very happy.
The war in Ukraine.
And what are you asking? So what?
My question is,
All the troops. Why is going on this way? Because all the troops, all Putin's army, now mostly is on our territory in Ukraine. More than 600,000 people, more. Of course, they lost a lot. They lost about 700,000, maybe 800,000. Yes, about this. Yes, but mostly the most strong, he lost. But he has a lot. And you see now North Koreans, 12,000 are in the region of Kursk region. It's the Russian region. Yes, they're situated. So I don't know what number and from what countries else he will involve. But this is a weakness of Putin. That's what I shared with the partners during all this war, that believe us, trust us. We see what's going on. We see his weakness. We see his armies. No, he's strong only because he can speak about nuclear weapon and he uses a lot of missiles. Yes, but without details of EU countries and China and etc., he can't even produce these missiles. So everybody, a little bit, help this person. That's why what we need to put strong sanctions and to do our job well. And of course, that situation in Syria, why they ran away, the same like with Wagner's in Africa and etc. All of this because the war in Ukraine, because he moved all his army to Ukraine. And that's what we wanted to show when it was very dangerous for our region. The name is Sumy. And when we knew that he wanted to occupy the new region, that's why we went through the border to Kursk region. We wanted to show that all his army is on our territory. And all of that else are not strong, not well trained. The question that for him it doesn't matter how many victims, how many casualties, how many deaths people. That's it. If I understood correctly.
Okay. Wall Street Journal, please.
Thanks a lot. Lawrence Norman, Wall Street Journal. I want to go back to last night's meeting, if I may, President Zelensky. Can you just be clear with us? Was there a discussion last night with Rutte and the leaders and foreign ministers about security guarantees? Did you talk to them about that? And since those are the countries that are quite likely, if anyone is going to offer a security guarantee, to be involved, did you leave that meeting thinking, yes, the Europeans are serious about a security guarantee? And one more question about it. Do you think that European guarantees are dependent on the United States being involved in some way in securing the peace in Ukraine? Thanks.
I believe that the European guarantees won't be sufficient for Ukraine. It's impossible to discuss over only with the European leaders, because for us, real guarantees, in any case, current or in the future, are NATO. And NATO is based on the decision and dependent on the decisions taken by the Europeans and by the United States of America. So in the future, we need and we want to have some guarantees, because we are not in the NATO right now. So we can discuss these guarantees with the United States of America and with the Europeans. That does not mean that there is a misunderstanding somewhere. For us, it was vital to speak and talk about missiles, air defense. There are some questions and matters that should be discussed with the Europeans, that should be discussed with the United States of America. But they are our allies. They are our partners. They are our donors. They are not only donors for weapons, but in general terms. So we've been discussing these issues, and for now, there couldn't be a decision taken right now, because it is very important for us to have both on board, the United States of America and Europeans.
Thank you, President Zelensky. Andrew Gray from Reuters in the middle here. Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to follow up on security guarantees. It's quite a kind of technical term, and I just wonder if you could break it down, perhaps for the ordinary person in Europe. When you say you're discussing security guarantees, what does that mean in concrete terms? And if it would mean soldiers from the European Union, from the UK, inside Ukraine, what case would you make to the European public as to why that would be the correct thing to do?
I'm sorry. Sorry. Can you ask again?
Of course.
Please. Yes, about security guarantees.
Yeah, in concrete terms, what does that mean? And if that would include troops, soldiers from Europe, from the UK, inside Ukraine, what case would you make to the European public for why that's something they should do?
I can't discuss it really now publicly. You have to understand that there are no decisions about it. Yes, there is some will, what I feel, political will, and understanding that Putin is dangerous, and it's understanding, total understanding that he will not stop on Ukraine. It's not, it's not some, European narratives or something like this. No, he will not stop. That effect, because for him, he needs very much to show success for his society, though he will do. And that's why I can't share some details until the decisions will be made. And again, common decisions, United States and EU. It's very, very important. EU, I mean Europe, because of course UK, of course, the part of this, we very count on it. And still wait, Prime Minister.
Yes, your question, please.
Thanks a lot. I'm here, to your left.
Hi.
Thomas Gutschka with German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. Thanks for the question. It's twofold. Everyone's saying now that Ukraine needs to be in a position of strength in order to get to negotiations with Russia. Could you please explain to us what that means in your view concretely? You've spoken about air defense systems, but of course, air defense systems won't change the reality on the battlefield, where Ukraine is currently losing ground. So what exactly does it mean for you to get into a position of strength? And the second half of this question, when it's debated here in Brussels, it's frequently being said that it's actually you who hold the key to changing the situation by lowering the drafting age. I know that's a very tough and difficult decision, but I suppose you've heard this argument from leaders as well. What is your reply when people ask you to lower the drafting age? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. First of all, as to the age of drafting, tell me, please, if a person, yes, so As to the age, please tell me, if a person is in front of you without arms, what is the difference if he is 20 or 30, if he's not armed? There is no difference. So the partners are drawing our attention to the fact that physical, for example, capacity of this or that military. And we are drawing their attention to the fact that we have unequipped brigades. We have different brigades. We have very strong ones. But there are brigades without equipment. First of all, no weapons. The other question is that, and it seems to me that, how to put it in a good way. When we talked about the training of 14 or 12 brigades abroad, we have agreed a year ago that it should have started in the United States, and we discussed with the European colleagues that there will be a concrete schedule where this or that brigade, it's very important, not separate people, but the whole brigade, that it is trained wholly with the armaments, with the commanders, so that is one collective, that it influences their capacity and their morality at the front when they are at the battlefield. And today we only have one brigade which was trained in France, and only one brigade which is additional now trained in Germany, and it's being trained by the way, United States. And if from that block we have two brigades, we are not talking about people here. We're talking about arms. We don't have enough weapons. We don't have enough equipment. It's not about not enough people. Of course, people are never sufficient. Of course, commanders want to have more people. But very important is that they're equipped and they are ready to protect the country. And the third thing, as to the question, the war is very technological. It's not the First or the Second World War. And of course, very important people, but also modern technologies, missiles, drones, and air defense. Every component is very important. How can you push forward with the army when when the missiles are falling on your head and you're not controlling the skies from this? And so we don't have enough F-16s in our skies in order to protect our troops. That's what the situation is. And as to the strong position, we have a stable front. We need to have a stable front where the Russians cannot go forward. Seems like it's very easy, but it's not easy at all. And it's very important. Is that a strong position? Yes, it will speak to the fact that Russia does not have a capable army which goes forward. So the army is weakened enough, and that would mean the strength for Ukraine. I would not to come back to that. What is missing to that? Have brigades, as I mentioned, financial support. Yes, we have support because of the G7 decision of using the 50 billion. Of course, the decision is there, and the money will come. And it speaks about the fact that Ukraine financially supported, especially budget, and it's also economic stability, and it's also adding up to our strength and its macro-financial stability. And of course, the strong position is when you have security guarantees. There should be very comprehensible position without any surprises. We would like to end the war. We would like to have peace, but we should be assured of the security guarantees which will help protect us tomorrow. We are citizens of Ukraine. We are citizens of Europe. About 8 million of Ukrainian refugees are now abroad. How people are going to return home when they are not sure in their future? How they are going to return and support our economy, paying taxes and working? How, if they are not sure, confident in tomorrow? There are no guarantees of security. We should have transparent understanding, honest understanding of what will happen tomorrow. And of course, what strength? The strength also would be the strength of the new administration in the United States, which will be ready to support Ukraine and to support the sanctions against Russia. So this is the strength of Ukraine during negotiations. Thank you very much, dear President. You have already replied to one of the comments of Putin about the technological duel, and if Russia is ready to start negotiations without preconditions, but without any claims territorial, so what about, how would you convince Donald Trump to support your position in these possible negotiations? So I am a bit surprised that he is ready for something. He is constantly telling that he is not legitimate. That's how they say it. As to the Istanbul agreements that never actually existed. There was an ultimatum of Russian Federation in the first day in 2022 when the first occupation started. And so their envoys in different directions using different sources have shown us the details of this so-called ultimatum. So these envoys in Ukraine are gone, they are disappeared abroad, or they are on the territory of Russia. Ukraine did not agree to the ultimatum of Russian Federation. They tried to have follow-up steps to soften their positions in this ultimatum. And you remember these were the meetings in Belarus and in Turkey. You remember all these... and all these meetings were called so-called Istanbul agreements. Ukraine has not signed anything, and these agreements don't exist. We had just responded to the ultimatum from the Russian side, and that is it.
Take two more questions and finish. Your question, please. Yes.
Let me see where we are.
Please stand up so that people with microphone can see you.
The question is.
Thank you, President Zelenskiy.
Як можна називати угодами? I'm so sorry for.
I am sorry. How can you call agreements if it's just ultimatum that contained, and it always contained demilitarization, denazification, the main Nazi today and the whole of globe is talking about denazification of Ukraine, demilitarization of Ukraine. Then what? They wanted to annihilate our army, so the army did not exist, 50,000 only. So he was just suggesting to Ukraine to give up, to freeze the conflict, to change the direction of their future, not NATO, not Europe, but directing itself to Russia, to take our independence, to deprive our of the future. And this person is now telling us that these are agreements. So this is he's an old fantasizer. He lives in a different world. He lives in his own aquarium, I'm afraid.
Japan. I would like to ask about the North Korean troops in Kursk. Earlier you have said 30 have been killed, and today South Koreans have said 100 have been killed. What is the current situation? Have you seen the number of casualties increasing? And also, Ukraine has been trying to persuade the North Korean soldiers to surrender. Were there actual escapes so far? And if there were to be any escapes, what support are you expecting from the South Koreans? Thank you.
No.
Well, about the North Koreans and their military, we see we don't see more than 12,000. Yeah, if there are more to that added to that amount, we don't know. We will see. As to the prisoners, we don't know. We don't have. But we have video. We have pictures of actually casualties of the dead North Koreans. They are found, almost all of them, with Russian IDs, with the documents of Russian Federation. We have all that fixed already and documented, and so that they are not identified. We also have videos and photos that the Russians are actually burning their faces. And we can share this data, but I think it's already in mass media. These pictures are circulating around. So they're burning their faces, the same that they did with their own military. They have burnt them, and those who were not burnt, they were just left rotting in the ground. And here they are burning the faces. Yeah, we see that. We are documenting them and so forth, that we don't have any taken prisoners.
Zelenskiy over here, Austrian National Television, Johannes Petra. They say that international politics is as much geopolitics as it is Shakespeare. I was wondering about January 20th, the date when Donald Trump will become US president again. When you think about this date, which emotions do you feel?
I'm sorry, I have some questions with translation. Can I hear in English one more? Sorry.
When you think about January 20th and Donald Trump becoming president of the United States again, which emotions do you personally feel?
What emotions? Welcome, Donald. What can I say? So, I mean, that's for us, it's very important that I think that President Trump is a strong man, and I want very much to have him on our side. For me, it's very important. I want to discuss with him more details about this war. I think it's very important because he was not in this war, because he was not the president. It's understandable. And I want to share with him more details. And this, on what I count on the time to speak, to think, to listen, and to hear his view, and to show our view, because I mean that mostly in this war depends on strongness of our people, because I think this is the priority, and I hope that he will understand me, because I think that we all, it doesn't matter, politicians, businessmen, in the past, we're just people. Anyway, we have, I think, the same emotions and the same values. I hope so. I really hope so. And that's why I think that Putin is not adequate, and he's very dangerous for everybody. Dangerous because for him it doesn't matter what it meant to be, I mean, this human life, nothing. And I think he's crazy. I think so. Really, I think he also thinks that he's crazy. No, it's true. He loves to kill. That's very dangerous for everybody. And I want very much Trump to help us and to finish this war. I'm just against about just words that ceasefire and that's all. Why? Because everybody, I said it to some of our partners. Can you imagine, for example, we have ceasefire. Everybody happy, ceasefire, yes. And can you imagine that in 2 months Putin will come back? In 6 months? In 1 year? In 2 years? Who will lose? Everybody. Everybody will lose. Who made this decision, this deal. And I don't want to I don't want it, because after this, I don't know what we will do. That's why I think we need to have a real plan, strong position, and I very much count that we will We will have unity between United States, as I said, and European leaders. I hope so. That's it.
This concludes the press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.